I've got a question for you. What is the difference between cool and trendy and traditional and comfortable in our world of partner dancing? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to ZoukNerds. In this episode, we are going all the way back and discuss what is the traditional move, what is a comfortable move, and then how did that shape the movements that came along and became cool and trendy along the way. But if you're looking at it today, maybe it's an old traditional movement because maybe it was cool and trendy 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So get ready for a journey in the timeline of Brazilian Zouk and how that has shaped our dancing today. So, let's go! Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Alisson Sandi, and today we have our amazing co-host once again, Gui Prada. Hello Gui, how are you doing?
Hello everybody, I'm doing well. I just hit the microphone. No, I'm doing very well. Happy to be back. Happy for this and excited for this episode. I think it's going to be so fun.
In today's episode, we are going to be talking about what is cool, right? So what is cool to dance, to do? What kind of techniques are trendy? What kind of techniques are old school or, let's say, more traditional, right? What do we learn and why do we learn? For example, I love my traditional stuff, and I know that for some social media people or social media addicted people that want the sugar high, they prefer when I'm leading spins or crazy head movements or fast transitions or things like that. But again, that's for show, that's for the grams. But when I'm in the social, what do I like? That's what we want to talk about here. What is cool now? That's what we want to talk about here. So Gui, what phase are you now? What's the Gui era right now? I have seen quite a few over these last 5-6 years that we've known each other. So what is the one in your head right now?
Man, right now, I am really, really strong in Sacadas. I'm really exploring that idea of the Sacadas and going crazy on them and dancing on the dark side. For those who don't follow this terminology, the dark side is basically dancing on the other side of the dance, the side that you don't use very much. So for example, the lunge, leaders, when we do lunge, we turn to the right and open. And then how is the lunge when you open to the left? So these and many other moves. So deep into this recently. What about you?
For me, it's actually been related to more what the Lambada is influencing in my dance. I've been studying Lambada more and more in the last few years. And I feel like there's so much that the teachers from Lambada are studying and they are teaching around the world that has been really influencing and, I'm going to say here, helping a ton in my Zouk dancing, but also my Zouk teaching to actually make things a little bit more consistent across the board. Yeah, as our world of Brazilian Zouk is now going back into the roots, thankfully and finally, going back into revisiting the passion for Lambada, I feel like both dancings are coming closer and closer together. So that's kind of my passion project right now. And one very specific thing that I'm studying quite a lot and experimenting in my social dance and in my classes as well is the usage of the clock. So once again, like the dark side. For those of you who are not familiar with the clock, as I call it, it's more the direction and the position that your head is at whatever count. Yeah, so when you're doing clockwise direction with your head, when you're leading as a leader, clockwise direction for the followers, and we are doing it matching the head and the foot on the tum. How does it start? Does it start open or close? And studying this not just in a basic step or in a Pião, but also in any sort of movements. In lateral, in lunge simple turn, in soltinho, yo-yo, bonus, whatever, you name it. and seeing how does that connect with movements from the last few years, or even movements from 10, 20 years ago, because I've been fascinated at how a lot of this knowledge has been helping me teach older movements, which is crazy. Like recently here in Taiwan, I taught, the movement that we bring the follower across, turn, and then go behind the back and turn and across, turn. I think some people refer to this move as the Turkish towel or something like that, or around the world.
Wasn't it the around the world?
Yeah, around the world.
Yeah.
Some people already call Turkish towel. Some people call 360 because it's similar to like a movement in salsa called 360 in some strange way. But anyway, when I was teaching that movement, before that, when I was prepping for that class, me and the teacher that was teaching with me here, Maggie from Taipei, we were like analyzing how does the head movement go so we can explain and break down to the students. And then we realized, wow, this is just exactly the clock that we've been studying with the students for the past 3 months. We don't really need to explain the head movement. And all of their students picked up like this. So I'm just seeing how all of those techniques, especially the clock one that I am extremely, just in case you haven't noticed, passionate about it right now, how it's just making life so much easier for the students and for me. So yes, let me breathe now.
No, it's really cool. It's really cool because we are also using the clock here. For those who don't know, probably most people have no idea of this, but Alisson completed his cycle in the United States. But before he left, he was here for 3 weeks and we sort of shared the course. So he started the course and now I'm continuing the course. And started with the idea of the clock, using the clock for the head motion. And I'm just continuing with it. And so much cool stuff comes out of it as I'm prepping for class, discovering all these things and things that I used to see, like you're saying, Alisson, stuff from back in the day becomes actually a lot easier to do because I think they happened a lot by accident and we had no idea what was going on. But now we're like, oh, okay, so this thing here. So now, for example, we are exploring traveling clockwise, counterclockwise, traveling, turning to the left, traveling, turning to the right with the head both clock, counterclock, synchronous, unsynchronous, or like Alisson said, some matching or unmatching. And incredibly challenging. So hard. We need these days of one class, a new thing, another class, another new thing. They have to be over, man. We need to stay on the same thing for like 4 classes and chill about it. And that's me talking to myself right now. And those who happen to have a group class or happen to have a more experienced group going on, detach from this anxiety of like, oh, but we already did these 3 classes. Do a 4th one, do a 5th one. This shit is hard. So it needs a lot of repetition. And I was thinking, Alisson, it's different though, I think, when we talk about trends versus evolution of the dance. Because I think the trend is something that comes, stays, and goes. For a while, for example, on phones, I don't know if you remember the early 2000s, the phones started to get small. And then all companies did a small phone, and then all of a sudden they're like, nah. So it was a trend, but phones evolved so much. But there were these trends, and I think in Brazilian Zouk we have these 2 components that might be hard to differentiate. What is the trend and what is the evolution of the dance? Yeah. What is the current trends that you see versus what is the evolution that you see?
For example, when I'm looking for trends, or when I'm looking what are the trends at the moment, I don't only look on social media, but here's the little pro tip for you guys. Look at schedule for the workshops in festivals.
Ah, yes.
Let's say it together, everybody. What is the one movement that every teacher teaches everywhere in every congress? And I'm going to give you a hint. It starts with T. Let's say it. Toalha. It has been taking the world by storm in the last few years. And it's actually staying for quite a while. But I think this has been like the big one of the last couple of years, how people want to do toalha or how they want to learn toalha. Every time I ask any study group, every time I go to a new city, and they're like, can you do a class in toalha? Because people know, they kind of have learned it, but they don't know how to do it well, and the followers are getting hurt, and the leaders are getting confused. Can you do it? Because everybody wants to know. And then if we look at a couple of years back, maybe I'm skipping something in between, but let's say counterbalances. There was the age of counterbalances. Again, it lasts a good 3-5 years. It lasted quite a while. So yeah, those are trends. And I'm like, what is the next one?
You know something really funny, Alisson? There is this. I like him so much. He is Thiago from Germany. He makes those videos reacting to the moves. And then he said one up recently that it was funny because to me it was like those when people are analyzing clothes in the red carpet, for example, the Met Gala, and they're seeing the clothes and commenting on the clothes and see what's going to be the hit of the next season. Oh, the next season is going to be all about this blue and this na. And it was so funny because he was talking about, this move you're probably going to see coming up in the next socials, so he was saying like the move as like a fashion aspect. And I found it so cool because it is a little bit of what happens. I will list here really quickly the trends I remember in my Zouk lifetime. Avião, where you do it so low that you touch the floor, then you go back up. So that was one. Chicote coming from viradinha, that you jump. Like viradinha, and then you jump, pow, chicote. Cambré mesa, the table cambré, the really low one. They were like the trends of 2006, 8, 9. And then we had pretzels. Oh my God, so many pretzels. Back in those days, Adilio was still a lot more active in the dance, and he would do all these pretzel-y thingies. And then my teacher at the time, Lidio, he really liked the pretzel-y stuff. Pretzels, man. Pretzels. And then I stayed out for a while. But when I came back to Zouk more intensely, the trend was actually the whooshy stuff. Like they doing the side to side, bate cabelo, leading with the lower body. So that was like really trendy. And then from what I remember became counterbalances, like Alisson was saying. And then we had the trend inside the trend. So for example, in the tilted turn, when people end like putting the hand back thing, I remember seeing that in one demo one time. And then was just one couple doing it. And then, boom, spread around. The trend inside the trend, boneca and boneca touching the floor.
The desprezada. Yes.
The desprezada. Yes, exactly. Boneca desprezada touching the floor. And I think these are the... and then for a while, people tried that thing that when the follow goes down, the leader brings the arm of the follow back. Yeah. I don't think that one worked very much because it actually really...
The shoulder displacement move.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was even a discussion on ZoukNerds about this move. And I think those are the trends that I remember that happened. And us as teachers is funny, né? Because people come to us and ask for it. Oh, toalha. And then the toalha. Of course, né? Tornado was also for a while.
Like 20 years ago.
The tornado was also.
A long time.
Yes. I remember the tornado being the thing. Everybody was doing the tornado thing. Yeah, so there were a lot of them, of course, né? Almost 20 years. But there was, and there might be more that I didn't catch or didn't, compute as a trend.
Well, and this, guys, is why Gui is our official resident historian, because he remembers so much. Oh, dear.
Yes. Because I remember the classes, man. The pretzel classes, they were my biggest challenge. They were one of the reasons why I almost gave up doing Brazilian Zouk classes. Because every class was some sort of pretzel in 2000. And so difficult for me. So difficult because I have hypermobile shoulders. So that actually is bad for me because when I'm in a deep pretzel, they got off the sockets, they get out of the socket. So I need to grab my shoulder and put it back on, you know? So as I'm doing pretzel, I find myself like, oh no. So I need to put the shoulder back and continue the move.
You have to tell the followers, wait, give me my shoulder back, please. Give me my shoulder back. You're going with my shoulder. You
took my shoulder. Literally, man. Like they would go off the socket. So I would be hanging with the shoulder, like with the arm on top of my head like this. So I need to hold and then boom, snap it back so I then can continue the dance. But I think that's why I remember training the cambré, the table cambré. Oh my God. I remember calling someone to teach everybody proper counterbalance. So we are active into the trends because we are on the receiving end of the requests to know more about them.
Yeah, just for a moment, my brain went into work mode and I was just thinking, oh my God, to do the caption and the translation for this episode is going to be so crazy because I'm going to have to correct everything manually. But anyway.
So many Portuguese terms.
This is going to be a lot of work. But now let's talk about our faves, all-time faves that will never leave our dear Brazilian Zouk heart. The things that we do forever and ever. And for me, I will never stop enjoying them. Currently, I've been really, really enjoying Soltinhos and Viradinhas for some reason. You know, Soltinhos and Viradinhas are like my basic step. For a while, I think my basic step was kind of like basic lunge, simple turn, bonus. Soltinho wasn't really that, but basic lunge, simple turn, bonus. It was kind of like, I remember one course that we did back in Perth, Australia, 2010, something like that, that we taught basic into lunge, simple turn, lateral, as like the intermediate entrance into lateral. Because we're like, okay, you guys already know your send away into lateral. You know your viradinha to lateral. Now we're upgrading and we're going to do our intermediate version of entrance to lateral because it was circular. So like you go from linear entrance to more like a circular, and it was like lunge more than 90 degrees. It was kind of like lunge into a diagonal, and then you fix the lateral into the line. It was a thing. But now I'm like really just, I can dance a whole dance in Soltinho in terms of like opening brace. And then when I go to closing brace, I can just dance a whole dance doing viradinhas, and I'm like super happy. And maybe it's because I'm showing my age or anything like that. But, you know, I'm very happy because maybe this grants me the right to own this one little hair that is white now that I have here. Maybe this is my rite of passage into the era of enjoying my basics and not really caring too much about the trends. I love to study the trends because I love to be ahead of the game and to understand what's coming up and all of that. But in terms of like, what do I enjoy social dancing? The yummy stuff, the yummy chill stuff that I feel like I can do with anybody. And I feel like I can dance with anybody because I feel like when I'm doing Soltinho, when I'm doing viradinha, no follower is stressed. That to me is kind of like what makes it what is trendy and what is traditional, or let's rephrase it, what is trendy and what's comfortable. Because yes, toalhas, counterbalances, pretzels, they're trendy and everything like that. But is it something that anyone in their right mind will say, I want to do that all night? I don't think so. So when thinking about what sticks to my heart, it's more like, what can I do with everybody that makes me feel like we are having a good time? Yes, that's where I love to spend my time.
That made me think that the trendy movements, they are normally visually appealing. They tend to be more complex looking. So maybe that's why they are trendy. They don't, I mean, some of them last for a long time, but some of them, there's like this explosion and they dilute and then something else comes back. And I've been trying to do this exercise, not very easy, to observe people dancing on the floor and see what they are actually doing. What are they actually doing? Because it's so fascinating to me. We go to these workshops and we learn these sequences and these movements and all these things. And on the floor, we still are doing our viradinhas, our soltinhos, our lateral. We're still doing our fundamentals. And we apply some complexity and stuff like that. So even yesterday, when is the day that we do the class that I was talking about where Alisson started the 3 first weeks, I asked, how much do we actually do this on the social with this amount of precision that we are trying to achieve here? And then trying to bring these things that we are learning to the actual social dancing, that's a whole nother thing. So like there is this other mindful training, I think, that needs to be done in order for you to transport what you have been training so much to what you actually do on the floor. Some movements, sometimes they almost like they were part of you this whole time. They resonate so quickly and it's just there. Some others, you need some active, intentional, like energy of placing that movement into your dance so it makes sense when you're social dancing. Because it resonates so much with me what you're saying, Alisson. Viradinha, soltinho for the win. You know, all night, very good. There's so much we can do with these things. And it's almost like we have our own trends. We have what we do that just we know that we do, but the followers that dance with us enough times, they know the trend that we are on. So, for example, right now, I'm in a really trend of exploring the elastico, actually. The most basic of the movements, I'm using elastico a lot with rotation. I've always been curious about how can I lead or how can I increase dynamic with more followers? Like a beginner follower, how can I increase dynamic and just basically apply more circular momentum, for example, without asking too much of their stance, of their structure, of their posture? And how can I apply momentum to just move one leg, to just make the leg circular? So it's almost like a study of axis. I think that's my trend in terms of what is it that is alive in my perception when I'm social dancing. I'm really trying to focus as much as I can on the axis of the follower. So I am able to make a movement that could seem more complicated, more leadable in more people. So I'm in this constant search, and the easiest ways to find those new pathways is in the viradinhas, in the elásticos, in the soltinhos, in these movements that are more solidified in us and are like basically the basics of our dance. So this has been the trend for me, using the elásticos, the viradinhas, the soltinhos, the reversing,s the sacadas, or the short counterbalances, and sometimes not even a counterbalance. What is the name that we give when the leader walks around the follower?
Lanada? Or some people call it promenade.
Yeah, promenade. Differentiating those two, like applying short moments of counter and back in, so exploring elasticity. So I'm really into exploring texture inside the same movement that I know and I've been doing for so long.
Yeah, I think on my nerdy side, one thing that I'm exploring a lot is like the timing or rhythm displacement. So when you think about Lambada, it's kind of dancing on a different count. But because in Zouk, we don't necessarily dance on that new displaced rhythm for the entirety of the song like you could in Lambada. It's more about like getting there, but smooth and through different movements getting out of it. So for those of you who are familiar with this, maybe you've heard about the vortex or you've heard about other names. But for example, there is versions of it in basic step or in viradinha that you can do 3 times and then you come back. So all of these is like you do 3 times and come back. But I'm trying to like do 1 time of one, 1 time of the other, 1 time of another. So it's like 3 different shifts of rhythm in 3 different movements that come after the other instead of repeating the same 3 times, you know? So that's my nerdy moment there, like starting on a basic step counterclockwise and then on the first one, and then the second one I do like in the Viradinha, and the third one I do in a balanço. But it's all about mathematics, because you have to add steps or remove steps to then shift the rhythm forwards or shift the rhythm backwards. And it's my nerdy food at the moment. It's what feeds my nerd. And I love it. I love it because I don't know. This is very interesting. But here in Taiwan, we've talked about how we have a lot of students that do hustle, right? And I don't know, but this is my theory. And this is one of my current researches. We've been teaching rhythm displacement to the students here. And bro, you have no idea how the people who have learned hustle before, they just go like, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Just boom. And I teach this to like Zouk dancers who've been dancing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And they're struggling for like 4 weeks. But the hustle dancers, they boom. Like I stopped in the corner with Maggie and I'm like, Maggie, what the hell? And she was like, yeah, what happened? And I'm like, I have a theory. Maybe because of the hustle background. Because the hustle background, look, my understanding is that it's not 4/4. So then because it's not 4/4, they are used to this, let's say, irregularity of the dance. The dance is not like a box, like Zouk, tum, chick, chick, tum, chick, chick. And then you come back to the 5 or you come back to the 1. You know, so like the one of the dance and the one of the music keeps shifting. So then for them, it was just like, oh, hello, good morning. This is my coffee, you know, the first thing I have on breakfast. And that was fascinating. Yeah. So yes, that's my nerd right there speaking for you.
Yeah, what drives us crazy in hustle, which is the fact that the one keeps shifting. And like, wait, the one now is for them is just another Tuesday. And then when we teach this thing, some people also call it the dimensions. I can see that being super, super chill for them. And that's something that is really hard to teach Zoukers. So, I've realized that when I am in the dimensions where I'm open to them and the dark side, anything is possible. Mistakes are no more. They don't exist. We just understand that the structure of Zouk is a step and a rock step. A step you rock, a step you rock, you rock, you rock, unless you keep going. And then the thing is that we assigned the traveling to a downbeat, the control to the up, and the chick to the chick.
And we assign that to the music.
But then if you free yourself and travel on the upbeat, you know, you travel on the upbeat, you control on the chick, and you ground on the boom, you are in the dimension. And then you can try to do the whole dance there. There is one simple exit that I try to teach people inside the dimension, out of it immediately, which is coming out of the Pião with the leaders, is stepping the boom with the right on the rock step of the Viradinha.
Yeah.
And then they
travel forwards.
They go back. Exactly. But then when they go back in front of the follower, their left is back on the boom. You know? But if they close the follower in front of them, they're still in the dimension. So on just that, you show several times that people are like, what just happened? I don't understand. And even if you go stepping back with the right, boom, and really slow down that control step on the downbeat, sometimes it's still hard to see. So with hustle, you go and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. But that N1, like the N1 on your feet is the same, but on the music, it keeps changing. So you step 1 on your feet, but it's not the one of the song. And for us, Zouk is like, oh my God, I wanna die. So I can see them, you know, just having, you know, tea as you're explaining these things and, you know, breathing.
And it's crazy. And look, I'm gonna throw a knife here at the crowd, but I'm gonna say this. I think the biggest problem is that Zouk people have terrible timing. Full stop. Most Brazilian Zouk dancers have bad timing. And blame whatever you want to blame, because I think it's just a problem that we have with Brazilian Zouk. Most teachers teach variations of timing, breaking of timing too early, right? So, for example, when you go, traditionally speaking, when you go to a salsa class or a bachata class or a samba de gafieira class, everything is timing until you earn the badge of, okay, now we're going to play with timing. But a lot of people, when they're teaching or when they're learning, they're already going into the broken rhythms and broken timings and everything like that. So they never get enough time with timing. Same thing with Lambada, it's timing. And hustle the same way, timing. So I find that sometimes the Zoukers don't get it, but the people from other styles get it more because they're more trained on timing. But that's a complete detour of today's topic. So I will calm myself down because I know I am famous for being a timing commander, and proudly so, because timing affects everything in dance. But breathe.
Yeah, because it's more like a matter of keeping the consistency of the stepping with the rhythm of the song, So when we are in the dimensions, we are maintaining the consistency of the stepping with the rhythm of the song. It's just that when we travel, when we control, when we ground, that moves around, So if you can keep consistent timing on your feet, you can go into the dimension.
Yes, and if you don't know what to do, whenever you're doing circular movements or dimensions, timing, rhythm shifts, your saving grace is a good old Pião. That's it. Pião fixes everything. You've done a little bit of head movement, you don't know where you are anymore, you go like Pião, everything is beautiful. You are doing some traveling movements, or you've done maybe triple turns with the follower. You don't know what timing you came out. Pião is your, how do you call it? The Joker card in the card game.
Yes.
Trump card. Trump card, wild card, Joker card. It's the card that, if you put it on the table, it resets the game, or you come back alive or something like that. Because anytime you're dancing, whether you're doing the basics or the most advanced things, you came out of timing. You're not off timing if nobody knows what you're doing. Not necessarily. But if you come out and you do a basic step, you're going to be in dimension. It's not off timing, but it's dimension. But let's say you don't know if you can do a basic step. Do a basic in place. A basic in place plus rotation, Pião. That's it. This is the number one thing that we teach our students from day one. Don't know what to do? Go back to stepping on the spot. And if you can, rotate. Emergency basic on the spot, not emergency body roll. Because emergency body roll, for me, is a cop-out. It's us asking mom for help. No. You can do it yourself. You don't need to ask help from anybody. The emergency body roll is like, I have no idea what to do. Let me just body roll to fix everything. Body roll needs and deserves respect and intention. Body roll is a full meal, is not a side dish. Okay, so let's respect the body rolls.
Fair. I wanted to go back to what you said, Alisson, about your white beard coming and the age and everything. That reminded me what the contact improv teacher, he said, older dancers, people have been dancing for a long time, they free themselves from the pressure of having to please people, or they free themselves from the pressure to have to prove themselves. That's what he said. The pressure to prove themselves and feel comfortable in what they like to do. So we are aware of the trends. We like the trends because they often offer a fun challenge for us, because like we said, they're often a movement with more complexity. So it's nice to figure that out.
It's like a new toy. You get a new toy or a new puzzle. It's fun.
Exactly. That's perfect. It's super fun. And that contributes in a way to the evolution of the dance. It's almost like guys, I'm gonna confess here, I used to watch a lot of fashion reality shows, Project Runway, and several others, and I learned so many interesting things. So there is this called avant-garde. You watch this, I don't know if you ever watched a fashion show where they come with these clothes, they're like, and you ask, nobody's gonna ever wear that. And yes, and that exactly that, because it's an avant-garde thing. So it's a conceptual thing where from that conceptual thing, we're gonna extract elements to gonna be put in things that people are gonna actually wear. So in a way, the trends are this avant-garde clothes in a way, because they bring something to the evolution of the dance, or they showcase something that, yeah, this doesn't work really well or very much, or it's not very accessible. Like the pretzels, for example, who were really a thing, but we realized over time that it was actually not that comfortable, not that easy to do. So you don't see pretzels overall on the floor, but the counterbalances, they stayed, but at a lesser degree. We still have the toilets happening, but not as much, also at a lesser degree. So they contribute to the evolution. That's the thing. They come and go. They are fun toys. And in the end, the basic stuff still reigns supreme. And they inform how we can create, replicate, learn, understand the trends, and evolve more with more sort of more grounded in the technique, more grounded into the foundations of the dance.
A lot of the times the trends don't contribute to the fact that we want to make the dance more inclusive and more accessible for everybody, because they are high complexity. They require some strength or flexibility or speed or something like that. So like that, the trends are nice, fun puzzles, but we need to understand where they fit. They fit as that. They don't fit as the foundation. They don't fit as the bread and butter of social dancing, where we want to connect with the most amount of people and we want to have the most amount of people happy social dancing all night. So I think this is a good summary of these discussions between what is trendy, what is comfortable / traditional, and how do we see this in a way that we shape our dance, or we shape what we teach. Why do we teach so many basics? Why do we teach so much structure? Well, personally, because I believe that this is what makes the community grow, and this is what makes everybody feeling like they can dance. Why do we teach the cool stuff, the complex stuff? Well, because everybody loves a challenge, even if they can't do it. They just love to experience it and go like, oh, that's so crazy. I can't do it. But that's cool. It's fun, So I think having a balance in our own choice of workshops to attend, or on our choice of techniques and movements to teach as teachers, is the perfection. When we go one way too far or the other way too far, that's when our students cannot feel the full picture. I wouldn't say complete, but I would say feel the full picture of what the dance provides.
Yeah, it's like we play with the full range of human emotion, of a full range of what we can experience internally. The exhilaration of something new and challenge that we accomplish, the comfort of what we know and the comfort zone, the excitement of the new thing. So we are able to go everywhere. So I think all is game, provided that we are, not everybody can do an airplane and go all the way down and touch the floor. So just to be aware of these particularities of each movement when they become trendy.
And with that, once again, thank you so much for being here with us. Please stay connected with our personal accounts and all of our social media accounts. Subscribe to our channels if you haven't yet, and we'll see you on the next episode. So thank you, everybody. Beijos, abraços, and ciao.